بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وأسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين وزوجاته أمهات المؤمنين وعلى من اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وارض اللهم عن ساداتنا الخلفاء الراشدين الأئمة المهديين وعلى من اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Inshallah ta'ala, again today, we are few days from Ramadan بإذن inshallah ta'ala. Would like to continue learning certain important elements, inshallah ta'ala, preparing ourselves spiritually as well as from fiqh perspective for Ramadan. Yesterday we mentioned an item. I would like to share with you a story to maybe shed some light on what we mentioned yesterday. We mentioned yesterday a fact or hukm, a ruling, that the manat, the illah, the reason of a taklif, of responsibility, is al-aql, is the sound mind, right? So if the person loses this quality, al-aql, intellectual capacity, the mind, then the person is not mukallaf Islamically, is not responsible for his actions, so he's not responsible to do the obligations, the fast, Ramadan. So what we said, if some people, our parents or our relatives, if they reach certain age where they are diagnosed with what we call it al-kharaf, which is dementia or Alzheimer, so you don't have to pay fidya for them because they are not mukallaf anymore if they don't have this sound aql. This is technically right, and there is no doubt about it. But I would like to share with you a story that can teach us something different from what we have learned, which is high level of understanding the deen. I was once with one of my teachers, his Moroccan scholar. His name is Sheikh Al-Hidaya, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's still alive, he's a great scholar, Mustafa Al-Bahyawi. And a man came to him and he asked him a question about his father. This is the situation of my father, and the description or the details that this man provided about his father, it is clear that his father doesn't have what? Sound mind. In Arab, بالعربية يقول الخرف, dementia, which is he lost his aql. Even when he gets out, he gets lost, he doesn't remember even his like children names. خلاص خرف, and he's very old. And the sheikh was listening to him and he's a very great scholar. After he finishes, the question was, what should I do for my father, right? Should I pay the fidya or not? After he finishes, he said, you pay fidya for your father. And then the man left, and we had the halaqah, and after the halaqah I was wondering, it doesn't look technically right to me, right? Because the description I heard, like the description the imam, the scholar heard, that the person lost his mind. So what was his answer? This is what I would like to share with you. He said, if I tell him you don't have to pay fidya for your father, what I'm telling him? What I'm telling him? No, what I'm telling him indirectly, that your father lost his mind. He said, I didn't feel comfortable saying it, and I don't feel this is the right way that our children should treat their parents. Even technically they are kharif, but it's better not to consider them as such. It's better to consider them permanent disease, something like this. But it doesn't look, this is what we call it a dhawq. This is the high level of understanding the deen. So technically, yes, they are not mukallaf and you don't have to pay for them. But he said, I did not feel right that a child consider his father or his mother like majnoon, right? So this is what I would like to share with you. Technically, yes, if our parents reached certain age where they lost the quality of a taklif, the reason why they are mukallaf, no obligation upon them whatsoever. including the salat, all the obligation, because the only reason why Allah is holding you accountable is because of this quality of al-aql that He gave you. Once you lose it, then you are not mukallaf, right? Like any child. But the story I shared with you teaches us how we should treat our parents. Like even these matters, we have to be very sensitive. We have to be very, and he said this is from bir al-walidain, so we don't want to call or consider our parents that they are majaneen or wasalu ila marhalat al-kharif. So this is something I wanted to share it with you, and I think it is important that we have this sort of beautiful understanding for the religion. Today, inshallah ta'ala, in about 5 minutes or so, we'd like to talk lastly, inshallah ta'ala, about ahkam al-fidya. We said that the sickness is two categories. There is a permanent and there is temporary sickness. Temporary sickness, you break the fast and you make up the days later on. Permanent or chronic diseases, then the person, like diabetes or other types of sicknesses, like there is no hope for cure, the person cannot make up the days later on. So what we should do for the permanent diseases as well as for very old people, and they are getting very weak and they cannot fast, so what they do, these two types of people, is they pay what you call it al-fidya. So what does the fidya mean? The fidya is to feed a needy person, Muslim, per every day. For every day you didn't fast. Now, how should we pay the fidya? Should we pay it cash or it has to be food? It's better to be food, meaning you can get grocery, or actually you make food and they invite needy people if you have needy people around you, or even if you can send it back home, you can. I used to do it, for example, for so many people that I know. I used to some restaurants that I trust, that they call every day somebody that they think they are very extremely in need, and they feed them, and I pay these bills. So there are several ways how to do it. The easy way to do it in our time is these relief organizations. And if you go to their websites, all of them, they have fidya, sort of a button, so that you can pay, and actually they deliver it as food, not cash, not money, which is the best way. However, if you know people who are in dire need, very poor people, it's better that you pay it. It's better that you deliver it, because it's good to have this relationship with these vulnerable people, and there is barakah in being with these people, brothers and sisters. So this is the first question. It has to be cash or food. It's better to be food. Now, do you have to feed different people, or can you feed the same person for 30 days? It doesn't matter. You can feed the same person for 30 days, or you can feed different people every day, or you can feed a family of 5 or 6 individuals, and that consider that you fed for 5 days or 6 days, right? And you can feed them for 10 times, for if there are 3 members, so 10 times 3, so this is for 30 days. So it can be done either way. Now, do we have to pay it at the beginning of the month, or do we have to pay it end of the month, or have to pay it after every day in Ramadan? The right way to do it is not to pay it at the beginning of Ramadan. Why? Because you are feeding for the day that you are enabled to fast. So you cannot pay it ahead of time. This is the right way to do it. Can you fast Ramadan before Ramadan? No. So this fidya is as if you are fasting Ramadan. So you cannot give it before the actual time of the fast that you are enabled to fast. So you have two options. You either pay every day after the day is over, or you can wait like 5-6 days of Ramadan and then you pay for these 5-6 days, or you wait until toward the end of Ramadan and you pay it all at once. But avoid to pay it before Ramadan or at the beginning of Ramadan for the entire month. The next question is, or the next item that I would like you to understand is, a niyyah is a condition to pay it. Meaning, you have a parents, I'm not talking about parents that lost their sound mind, I'm talking about parents who are extremely old week they cannot fast anymore. Our parents, usually the practice in Muslim countries, we pay for our parents, right? But we need to let them know that we are paying for them, and they need to give us approval. And their approval is niyyah, because it is ibadah for them. And we cannot do it on their behalf unless they authorize us to do it. Does that make sense? So you cannot just pay it for your father and your mother not knowing. Because if they don't establish the niyyah, even if you pay it, they are responsible in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we make sure if you're paying for your parents or somebody who is unable to fast, that they give you their authorization, their approval. But it's great ibadah to do it for your parents, but they need to know. The next question we would like to answer is the amount. If you'd like, let's say, to pay it cash, or to give it cash, or pay the organizations to give it food, how much should you pay? Now, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, at that time, there used to be sort of a handful of rice, or a handful of flour, or a handful of the date, or whatever food was available. In our time and age, the ulama said to feed, it's a meal, whatever the food could be. Could be biryani, could be soup, plus salad, or sandwich, or whatever. So, but they made amount of money equivalent to this food, which is $10. And some ulama increase it, there is inflation, so they said $12 now. So $12, somebody can say, okay, but the meal in Pakistan is $2. I can $2 feed somebody in Pakistan. Can we do this? Can we do this? Why? You pay in accordance to where you live, not to where you give it. Even in Pakistan, $12 could feed 12 individuals, but you still must pay $12, not $1 or $2, right? So the amount of money should be counted as a meal where you live, not where you give it. But still, you can give it in Pakistan or Bangladesh or Burma or Syria or wherever you think there is a legitimate need for people. Yes. If your parents is back home, that's a great question. So you are paying it on behalf of your parents that they are back home. So you pay it on the amount of money of back home, because they live in Pakistan, and you are doing a favor for your parents, paying it on their behalf. So you pay in the amount of Pakistan. However, you could be so generous and so kind and pay it in the amount of where you live. But you don't have to. But you don't have to. Any other question about the fidya? Yes. It's cooked food, it doesn't matter the amount. What cooked food is, as long as they are satisfied. Well, you have to be, that's another question. He said, if it's cooked food, $2 could be satisfying for them. The reason why I said yes, because I understood that you are cooking here. You are shopping from Walmart, not from Pakistan. Right? So if you are shopping in Pakistan and you live here, then you have to shop amount of $10 or $12, not even if you feed more people. Because the reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed upon you to pay instead of fasting. And He said to feed a needy person. So the ulama, when they came and sort of put a dollar's value for the feeding person, they said where you live, right? So now if you are shopping in Pakistan or some back home to feed, then it has to be the dollar's value, not what is your currency? Taka. Okay, what is your question?
About when you give the fidya.
Yes.
Let's say if the person did not know that you have to, they had the resources to press that button for fidya in the relief website.
Yes.
And they just had that money and they just gave it in like a sadaqah box or something. Would that count?
That's a good question. So it is important to when you go to relief organizations to click on the bottom of fidya. Number two, even if you give it to non-relief organizations like a masjid, if they accept this, you have to let them know this is a fidya. Because every category of money, zakat, zakat al-fitr, fidya, it has to be delivered in a particular manner. So you need to deliver it in accordance. Now, if you have done it in the past, inshallah ta'ala, Allah will accept it. But from now on, make sure that when you give it to relief organizations, you go to the bottom of fidya and you donate to that cause, because they know how to deliver it. Right? Inshallah ta'ala. Any other question? Yes.
When you talk about the money, when you give the money out, you said you just wait 6 days and then give the money.
Yes.
If you're feeding somebody, you should feed it every day, and by the end of the day, if you didn't fast.
That's a good question. He said, now if you, I said when you give money, I said you wait 6 days and then you pay for 6 days, or until the end of the month and then you pay for the entire month. He said, if you are feeding somebody, what should you do? It's very similar. It's very similar. So you can feed everybody the same day in Ramadan, or you can wait 6-7 days and feed like 6 or 7 individuals, or you can wait until the end of the month and invite, 30 needy people and feed them all at once. So you can do all this. However, you are not supposed to feed 30 at the first day of Ramadan, like ahead of time. So similar to giving it as a cash, or to relief organizations, or feeding as a food, inshallah ta'ala. Another category that we said potentially that they belong to this category as well, which means giving fidya instead of making up the days later on, is women who have consecutive pregnancy and breastfeeding. Like there is accumulation of so many years. It happens to so many sisters. Like they are pregnant this year, and next year they are breastfeeding, and they are so overwhelmed they cannot fast. And then the year after, pregnant again. And the year after they are breastfeeding. And then the year after they are pregnant, and the year after they are breastfeeding. So they have accumulation of sometimes 6, 7, 8 years. They are enabled to fast all these months. Al-ulama said, for this particular group of women, they can make up as much as they can, fast, and for the remaining of days, they feed. They give fidya instead of fasting. And the husband is responsible for the fidya, not necessarily the wife, because this is his baby, not only her baby. He's responsible for cooking the food. I'm not sure if we can say it. Khair, inshallah ta'ala. So we'll stop here today, inshallah ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by His karam, by His generosity, by His mercy, by His rahmah, to allow all of us and grant us tawfiq to reach Ramadan. Ya Rabbil Alameen, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Allahumma ballighna Ramadan, Allahumma ballighna Ramadan, Allahumma ballighna Ramadan, واجعلنا فيه يا رب العالمين من عدد عتقائك من النار، نحن ووالدينا وعائلاتنا وأحبابنا ومشايخنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم بلغنا ليلة القدر واجعلنا فيها من الفائزين. وصلي اللهم وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم.